Rugby is for everyone.
That's why on today's episode of the Gay Rugby Podcast, we're here at the NORAM Cup, an inclusive LGBTQ plus rugby tournament in Boston, Massachusetts, with Val, the president of the Flamingos and one of the founders of the trans match. Val, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Let's get ready to rock.
We've been following the Baltimore Flamingos on social media. Y'all are killing it. So much fun.
We take it on the edge, but comedy sometimes.
I remember, the Rebellion, I remember we played you guys for the first time in Ottawa, Canada. That was fun. And I think you guys had such a positive energy about yourselves. By the way, it's super windy here. So
we've experienced all the elements this weekend. It's only on one day.
It was raining early in the morning. There was thunderstorms predicted for later on today. It hasn't happened, thank God. And now we're dealing with this wind, so forgive us.
Yeah, I've been dealing with him all day.
Yeah, this was not predicted. So if there's
Keep talking, I'll fix it.
I was gonna say if there's a pause, it's because we're fixing this. But I guess Jack's gonna handle it. So anyway, back to the Flamingos. Like we said, like Jack mentioned, we're in NORAM, and you guys have played how many matches today?
Two. We just played y'all. Yeah.
And then
it's all a blur. It's like one big fever dream.
And then you guys have one more, right?
One more today.
And just for added clarity, the Rebellion played the Baltimore Flamingos not too long ago. That was a fun match.
It was fun until the end.
Well, that's because we got the W. So, on the topic of rugby and trans athletes, and given the political climate that we're dealing with currently here in the States, how do you feel about participating in NORAM?
I mean, I played rugby since long before I played in IGR. I played since high school, then I played in college, which is not IGR, although that would be an interesting twist for IGR, some college teams. But and then I went to my first Pride Parade when I was 15 years old, and the Renegades and the Scandals were marching in it. And I was like, oh my God, gay rugby? I tried to join the Scandals at like 16 years old. They said no. So I
you gotta wait 2 years.
Yeah. I waited until after college. They didn't have a summer season, so I was away. And then when I came back, it was the Baltimore Flamingos' first season. There was like 5 people at the practice. Nobody had ever played rugby before. But I'd been waiting to play on a gay rugby team because I came out as trans when I was 15.
Wow.
So navigating sports, I was on a girls' high school team. I was on a men's college team. Both of them were really hard to navigate, especially back then as a trans person. And now they're pretty much as hard as it was again now.
Yeah.
And so I was waiting for a team that I felt like I wouldn't have to deal with all those challenges. And I didn't know that the community was so big. I was like, oh, DC has a team. Oh, Baltimore now has a team. Like, oh, there's tournaments where there's 10 teams. Oh, there's Bingham Cup, and now there's this in North America. And to be around this many people, that I'm like, oh, I'm safe and I'm like happy and people respect my abilities and everything. It's different than like the journey before IGR. So love tournaments like that.
And so the Flamingos is a newer team. You said that there were only like 10 people at the first practice.
Very first practice, which I wasn't at, had 3 people, and I was at like their 4th practice, and then we were up to like 8-ish. Our very first season, we weren't able to field a side at all. Now we have a men's side, like a developmental men's side, and a women's side. So it's been 9 years.
Wow. And
we've done a lot. Yeah.
What do you think the biggest difference was? Like, what caused that influx of players? Was it community outreach?
I mean, we tried to do that. In fact, we've just not even yet. We have an election for the board this summer where we're adding for the first time specifically like a recruitment chair, because we kind of like struggle to have people that have the time to dedicate to do that specifically. But it is like our social media, and just we go out in groups and we're really fun. And I think especially like our whole purpose is to kind of pull people into rugby that think that it isn't for them in the LGBTQ community. So we're like going to bars where we're like, I would never play rugby, and then they like hang out with us all night. They're like, well, maybe I'll like try. Like maybe there are people like me here. So I think it's just our presence kind of in Baltimore. We call it Small-timore, so everyone knows who we are at this point. The only people that we can recruit these days are people that just moved to the city because they either play for us or they actually don't want to, because they all know who we are, because we're out there and we're really fun, and they come to the practice, they get hooked because we're really fun, and I think that's like the main component. And then when it comes to trans people or anybody who thinks that rugby isn't for them for any reason, you have to focus on their development instead of saying, well, you're on the bench, you're the water boy forever.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of teams, especially outside of IGR, get kind of stuck in that mindset of like, you recruit the people that you think will be good, and then you focus on their development and their inclusion, and then the people that are like, oh, well, maybe rugby isn't for you, go away. That's the opposite of why all of these teams should be existing.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I agree. And I just quickly wanted to say that I can attest to the Flamingos being a lot of fun. Cue the tape of us at the bar in Ottawa.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that that you went to a pride parade and you saw two teams marching, and so that matters, right? Representation matters, because if you had not seen them there, you probably wouldn't have known that IGR or inclusive teams existed. What do you think the future of IGR looks like? You're talking about, 5-10 years ago. What do you think it's going to look like 5-10 years from now? What are your personal goals, or what would you like to see come out of IGR in the future?
I don't even know what my goals are, but it's exploded even since I've been a part of it. And there's people that have been part of IGR more than twice as long as I have. And it's just growing so fast. And now like the women's component of it is starting to grow. And this isn't a good or bad thing, but we're getting to the point where cities can't handle these tournaments. So there either have to be more of them or spread out, or what,
Yeah.
I know we're all going to Brisbane. It should be hard for teams to get to, and therefore easy to handle that tournament. But bringing it to a place that is kind of like local to many IGR teams. And we're all over this city right now. Like every field is booked by us here, like I imagine, and I think that's the case for lots of teams. So I think we'll be having more tournaments like this and opportunities like this. We're having our third trans match this year, and Brisbane should be hosting the fourth one, but a lot of people won't be able to get there, and so we're having more and more people ask hey, can we host a trans match just randomly somewhere else? I'm we probably will need to soon enough. More
why
and more
not?
people know about it, and just like IGR, more and more people know about it, more and more people join, and we just need more opportunities for us to get together, because we're starting to overwhelm the world. So
Yeah, there are so many of us, and this community is so huge, and it's growing every day and every year. And it's just so exciting.
Yeah, and I think again, visibility. We cannot hammer that home enough, because when young kids that are feeling not like their peers, and they know they're different, and they see some of us either on social media, or they see rugby as a sport on TV, it lights a fire in them, or a curiosity. And so they start to wonder, what is that sport? It's different from football. It's different from soccer. It's different from golf or volleyball or tennis.
Biggest
right?
pet peeve, people say it's just football without pads.
And
No, it is not like football at all.
Don't you ever. And so that matters, right? Because the curious brain starts to think hey, what is that? And the same goes for kids that may be part of the LGBTQ community, may be queer, and they don't know where they belong. And so they see representation, and that matters. They have to see someone that they can relate to, and they'll go seek those teams or that sport.
So you're trans.
Don't tell everybody. No, yes. Openly trans. Happy to be here.
You came out when you were 15.
Yes.
What was that like, coming out at such an early age and navigating not just existing as a human, but also existing in sports?
Yeah, I was. They kept saying that I was the first one ever at my high school, which honestly, maybe. I didn't know anybody back then. It was all virtual communities, which these days, I was a teacher for 6 years. I'm not anymore. There was tons of trans students, but back when I came out, they were not even in a 30-mile radius. I couldn't find anybody. I went to some meetup that was for trans people, and it was me at 15 years old and a bunch of 40, 50-year-old trans women, which was so lovely, but really not helping me much. Yeah. So it was challenging. I'm lucky to have a supportive family. I'm lucky to have a fairly liberal school. It was a big fight for me to wear the boys' color robes at graduation, because we had some vice principal from Linganore, which is the school that that full of people. Their mascot is a cow, so I don't know. She's like, you're lucky that we're going to let you wear pants instead of a dress. And I'm like, I'm telling my mom. Anyways, they did let me wear the boys' colors. But I started rugby at 15 also. So same time, and it was really me being I'm going to play something super butch to validate my masculinity. And
was it a women's team?
It was a girls' team.
Yeah.
And it was also it was in the sticks. So all of these girls came from farms and whatever. And their dads all were big rugby players. So it wasn't even there's a, it's not a myth. It's very true. Women's rugby is very queer, and it's always been a safe space for queer people, way before IGR, way before they even were in part of IGR.
Yeah.
But my team was full of like very Christian farm girls, and I did find a lot of support there, but they were not lesbians, and they were not trans. So a few of them, but like most of the part, no. And I thought it was going to be like a very queer space. It wasn't.
Yeah.
But I found really a lot of support there, and my mom died when I was in high school, and that was my support system, and I was super, super shy, and I was, even around them, I didn't talk to them, because before I came out as trans and everybody kind of respected my pronouns, I just didn't want to be perceived by anybody. But I had never played a single sport before rugby, and they really welcomed me, and I had a lot of pent-up aggression, so I felt I was quite good at something, which was really exciting for me. But again, like I was playing on a girls' team, which isn't what I wanted for myself. I was trans, and by the time I got to college, I had started testosterone, and in that group of people, again, no queer people. It was just my college men's team, and I didn't want them to know, because I thought if they knew, they would not respect my abilities, or they would kick me off the team, because really I wasn't supposed to be on that team according to the rules then. And so I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody that I was trans. I would bring my boyfriend to games because I was gay, but like I was like
So did you feel like it was easier for them to accept you as a gay man over a trans man?
They couldn't kick me off the team for being a gay man.
Gotcha.
So and so
It's
like,
survival.
You don't know. Yeah, it's survival. It's like I loved rugby already. It wasn't some new thing I was trying to see if I'd like fit in. I was like, I want to continue playing rugby. It really meant a lot to me in high school, and I'm gonna do it no matter what. I don't care if the whole team hates me. I don't care if they're gonna kick me off. They're not gonna find out the thing that's gonna make them. I mean, they were nice guys, but I don't know. Like wasn't able to become close to them because I had so much that I was hiding from them.
Yeah.
And like even the gay thing, I think the team is lovely. I'm sure they are. And the coach, like there was a person on the team who like called somebody a faggot, and the coach shut it down, and that's great. But like that would never happen on a gay team. So it's like just the fact that it happened. I'm like, I'm not telling anybody that I'm trans, and that's for sure. I remember one time I was hooking in the scrum, just like warming up, and I was wearing basketball shorts for some reason. Bad choice anyways.
Yeah.
But they ride up, and I literally hear some guy whisper to another guy, I don't think he has a dick. Like, that's what I started packing, which is not something I really feel like I need to do, but I was going through so much effort to hide it. I was binding at the time before top surgery, so like I couldn't breathe by the end of a practice. And it was like, when that's what you're thinking about the entire time, maintaining like any connection to the sport was so hard. Like I was absent a lot, and I was stressed out a lot about it, and I didn't make friends and connections, and I was like so excited to.
Yeah.
I knew IGR existed by that point. I was like, I can't wait to play on a team where I can tell somebody about my life and also still play.
Yeah, and be you, be true to yourself. That's unfortunate because rugby or any sport, it's supposed to be somewhere where you feel camaraderie, you feel welcomed, you feel like you have like a second family. And it's unfortunate that that was your experience, and I'm sure that's the experience of a lot of other trans athletes and gay athletes that are probably playing in a small town that isn't probably as open-minded. Yeah. But I do want to remind everyone that's watching this that us as gay men and gay women, we have a responsibility to lend our voice to even the most marginalized in our community, which is the trans community, because they suffer just as not as bad as we do, worse, because of the societal norms, and we're just not there as a society, I think we need to do better, and so. I think at last night's ceremony, every time that the trans athletes were mentioned or anything that had to do with trans rights, we got like loud cheers and applause. So it means that we're doing something, but the LGBTQ community is far greater and larger than the athletes that are here. So we're a vocal few, and we need to do better and lend our voices.
So the trans match.
Trans match.
Tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
I heard there's over 70 trans rugby players who are going to be in attendance.
70 trans rugby players in attendance. There's been some injuries leading up to the tournament and here, but they'll still be there. We're going to have lots of water boys, and so they'll still be there. We do have about 60 still in the match, and more are finding us, which happens. This is the third one. Every time we make sure that we are prepared for the trans people to find us this weekend. No one's being taken out of the match. They can play if they find us, and there you have. So we're growing maybe back up to 70, so we'll see.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the trans match, how it came to be?
Yes.
And then also where it's going.
Yeah. 2023, the first NORAM as well was in Charlotte, and my team. So I'm the president of my team, and before that I was something else on the board, and before that I was the captain. And I've always been really involved since the beginning of it existing. And so because I'm, I get to make a lot of decisions, a lot of our recruitment is trans focused. So we ended up with a lot of trans people on the team. We were looking at our roster for NORAM, and I was like, we have a full side of trans players.
That's
going
awesome.
Already. So I messaged the board of Charlotte of NORAM, and we're close. We play them all the time. And I was like, hey, if I find 15 to 20 other trans people that are going, can you give us a time slot and have us do a trans match? And they're like, yes. And that's been kind of the trend for all three is no one's ever said no to anything I've asked. They've done everything I wanted, which is peak ally for everybody.
Ally.
Can they get a badge for this? Can they get a lunch? Can they get with it? Whatever. And just making sure that it happens and that it's accessible to everyone. I've only have doors open from all the IGR leadership. But
amazing.
It was pretty easy to find. I know a lot of the trans people in rugby. We find each other easily. We pulled that one off pretty well. We had one of the players, mom, make us all shirts with the roster on the back. Same with Rome. We got it actually printed at a real facility with the roster on the back. And this time we obviously have a title sponsor of Paladin. We just finished the biggest trans match in North America, topping the last time we played it by 30 members, with over 70 people playing. First time that we've had jerseys made for the match, designed by Jax. Tell us about the jerseys.
Well, so the jersey started out as a painting, 3 paintings, one for each panel in the front, and then there was a panel for the shoulders, and then I just photoshopped it to make the colors, and
hand painted and then digitized. Amazing.
In 2.5 days, and they came out great.
Match?
Yeah.
And he's still alive.
I played the whole match. I played as a lock, as a flanker, and somewhere in the back line. They get bumped around.
Awesome. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Good day.
And with a free jersey for every trans player, and you can buy them.
That's
so
awesome.
it's that part of the perks are growing. But really, it came about in a time where trans people were rugby became more inclusive to trans people. USA Rugby has a pretty liberal policy, and things were looking really good. And then around the time of the first trans match is when things started to take a nosedive. And so I think a lot of people viewed it as something to really make a statement about that, which is great. But I had this kind of fantasy since I was a kid, and I'm it really is just about celebrating that we are playing this sport.
Yeah.
For me, we've gone through so much trying to figure out which team we even belong on, if they would let us play, and if they wouldn't let us play, hiding who we are in order to play, or not playing. And so every trans person has gone through some version of that, whatever type of trans person they are. And to be able to just come together and celebrate that we're still playing, the media's coming. We didn't invite them, and that's great again, but it was really for our joy and for fun, so we can hang out together. And it's been brought up a couple times as far as where it's going, if it's growing, and we have more and more players. Should there be a bracket for trans athletes?
Yeah.
And for me, and it could be fun, but for me, the whole point for I think a lot of us is that we are welcomed onto the teams that exist already, and we have teams that we love, and I do, and we're here with them. And if you take us and put us in another bracket, it's not what I want. I want to be able to celebrate a really cool moment and match with all of the trans people that are here, and be yeah, we're all fucking playing on the men's team or the women's team or whatever team that we want, and they accept us and they love us and we're doing great. And now you can see all of our talents all at once, and we can all high five and have fun. So I love it as a match. Maybe it could be multiple matches, but what I wouldn't want is to be pulled away from the teams. That it's so exciting to exist in this space where we're valued. Even joining the Flamingos, I didn't tell anybody for about 6 months, because again, I was it's a bunch of big dudes and I'm already small, and if I come out as trans, my expectation is that they're going to say, well, like, oh, it wouldn't be like really safe for you to play. Like, you can practice, or maybe we'll throw you in at wing or whatever. And I was so worried about that, I just didn't want to tell them. And by the time I finally came out, and the reason is actually because somebody walked in on me when I was in the stall, and I didn't want them to think I was pooping. So I was like, no, I'm trans. I was just peeing. True story.
So you were poop shy.
Yeah, I was poop shy. So I was like, okay, I'm trans. And I came out, and then I was elected the first captain of the Flamingos. So it's like, it kind of blew my mind because I was really under the impression that like all it would do is like make people think that I was bad at rugby, and it wasn't. They don't care, and they respect the talent. And some of the best rugby players I know, period, are trans rugby players.
Yes.
And my cis teammates would say the same thing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of them are surprised, but really most of the people coming in to IGR, they already know. They're like, yeah, you guys are fucking great. So yeah.
And so, just as a reminder, like you shouldn't feel uncomfortable with a gay team to come out as trans. So that just means that we need to do better, because we need to make sure that you feel comfortable to step on the pitch and just be you without having any sort of hesitation, whether like you want to come out or not, because you're afraid that somehow you're going to be like shunned. We need to do better.
Yeah. And I think we're doing great now. You know, I came from a history of it wouldn't have been really very chill for me to come out as trans. So like I was feeling it out. But like, yeah, I mean, this NORAM trans inclusion has been mentioned like literally around every corner, like all around, and every tournament that I've been to for IGR. And I think like when I look at the social media for every IGR team, it's a focus, and it's a focus. I of course don't want anybody using like trans as like some token charitable whatever that they're paying attention to, but like it's a big deal right now because we are under attack, literally in sports, really specifically right now. So the fact that I'm seeing it on everybody's pages like very openly. We're doing better than we were 9 years ago. So.
And what would you say to people who say that trans people don't belong in sports, or that maybe they should have a separate bracket or league?
It was one of the comments when we had that first trans match. A lot of the media like presented it again as like kind of like an FU to like whatever the trans bans, and we had a lot of bigoted people being like, no, this is what we want. We want you to all play your own games. Like again, it wasn't even the point. Wasn't the point. Point was us to have one fun match, then go back to the teams
you just want to have fun and build community.
But I think it was like a very good example on like the stereotypes on both sides. They're looking at these trans men making these like massive hits, and they're looking at trans women not hurt anybody. And so it's like we're playing all together, and rugby is really no matter, like you could have a team of all cis people, and you're gonna find like a 350-pound woman playing against a 90-pound woman, and neither of them are really gonna hurt each other. The person that's gonna get hurt is gonna be the least expected person, and that has been the case. We have not had any injuries from these trans matches, and again, it's all sizes, it's all genders, and when we come back to our team, we play cis women all the time on our men's team. Like it's just like cis women, trans men, doesn't really matter. Rugby, you're not wearing pads because you play it safely.
Rugby is for everyone.
It really is. It's all different shapes, sizes, ages. It doesn't matter. So to your point, like sometimes people want to make the argument that like, a man is going to hurt a woman because the difference in their size.
Everyone's gonna get hurt.
And you know what? We're all gonna get hurt equally. It doesn't matter, right? Because you just said like. First of all, when we practice, we practice to tackle safely. We want to make sure that we don't hurt each other. We can bring people down without hurting them, and so I mean, inevitably people will get hurt. But yeah, I mean, there's players of different shapes and sizes, and so that argument holds no water when it comes to rugby.
None. Yeah.
Well, Val, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Gay Rugby Podcast at the NORAM Cup in Boston, Massachusetts. We're so excited to be here together and to celebrate inclusivity in rugby. And we're excited for the trans match tomorrow.
Yes.
And remember, don't just play the sport.
Change the sport.
Whoa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Gay Rugby Podcast. If you liked this video, do us a favor and subscribe. Hit that bell to change your preferences to notify all, and that way you'll get a notification every time a new episode comes out, which is going to be every Monday. So share this video with a friend, like, comment, and we appreciate the support. We'll catch you on the rugby pitch. See ya.